All right, welcome in episode 52. Are you serious? We're back. I am meteorologist Andrew Dockery.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold, WMBF News, and yeah, we're back.
4th of July. Hopefully you had a fantastic one. It is still hot. It is still humid. It is still summer.
Yeah. Everybody's asking when's it going to get better, and I say October.
I think someone messaged me that messages you that, and you gave them the answer, and someone said, but please don't say October or November. They generally want to know. I was like, but that's
But really
the answer.
October, yeah. It's, you know what? It's probably going to take a hurricane in September to break the heat.
He said it, not me.
It happens.
We're also back, too. We did not get canceled for 51. It feels good to be back. I told you that it felt weird to be back. It was almost kind of like redoing, like learning how to ride a bike in a way.
Not for me. It was therapeutic.
Well,
It was therapeutic. If you didn't see 51, go back. It was a fun episode.
it was a fun one. We got
Lighthearted and fun, and spilled a little tea. And
hardly any weather.
yeah, it was all weather.
I mean,
related,
yeah, but I'm saying
roundabout.
like, well, didn't geek out like we probably will on this one for sure.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm just ready to sit back and
Yeah,
Let
let
our
somebody
guests
else
do the
let somebody
talking,
else do the
right?
work. Yeah.
these type of episodes are always fun. But before we get to that, just want to let you know that you can like, comment, share, subscribe, rate, anything else that we haven't said.
Yeah. And send in your questions.
And send in your questions. We still have some questions saved too. Of course, if you sent some over the holiday, we'll get those in there for next episode. Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait for this one. I guess we should just go ahead and
Let's do
introduce.
it. Let's do it.
I have questions for this guest as well, which we'll get to those. Just more so questions on how do we become better?
Yeah.
Because this person's great at what he does.
Yeah. So just going to go right into it. Gerald Mengel joining us, meteorology student at UNC Charlotte, also where I happen to graduate. I'll tell you some great UNC Charlotte stories. Sort of discovered you on Twitter for your amazing storm chasing capabilities, but also just kind of a great personality on Twitter and fun to just follow and keep up with. Welcome to Are You Serious?
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you made the drive down from Charlotte, and here you are, and I hope we make it worth it.
We'll see.
Yeah. So let's jump into you.
Yeah, and you're the furthest, I think, that has ever driven down for an episode.
Yeah.
So congrats on that.
We're not paying for your gas.
We're not.
We might take you to lunch.
We've only made $7 on the podcast.
Yeah, $7 is how much we've made. So cheap
YouTube
lunch.
is a slow grind, so
Right.
it takes plenty of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into all of our questions.
Yeah, so like you said, my name's Gerald. I'm originally from Pickens, South Carolina, which if you're familiar with South Carolina, it's up in the upstate, kind of close to Clemson, Greenville.
West of the Big Peach.
West of the Big Peach, yeah,
Got it.
closer towards the Georgia side, not
Yep.
so much the North, well, I guess North Carolina side too. It's kind of
Yeah.
in the corner right next to both. So, but yeah, grew up there, went to Pickens High School, graduated from there in 2022, and now I'm pursuing my degree in meteorology from the amazing UNC Charlotte, which obviously I'm always representing. Everyone always says that to me, like, can you wear anything other than Charlotte gear? And I say, maybe one day. But yeah, I've always liked weather. I think it's funny because a lot of people normally have like a specific story. Like I think you've mentioned Hugo and when that came through Charlotte, and a lot of people have like a day. For me, I don't really have that. I just remember growing up watching our local meteorologist and kind of geeking out every day. I guess if maybe there was one thing specifically, I think it was the winter of 2014. We had multiple winter storms move through, and I just remember being so excited. And I was that kid in class when people would start talking about, oh, well, they said it's going to be 2 to 5 inches of snow. And I'd be like, well, really like 3 to 6, not 2 to 5. But yeah, and then that just kind of blossomed. Everyone knew me as the weather guy in school. And, here I am now, taking it to the next level. So.
Can we just stop for 2 seconds?
Can we stop literally for 2 seconds and say
The on button, like, flip.
the on button?
You
and
have
that's
such a good delivery.
Yeah. I have always said, there
We're just
There-
going to hype you up here, Gerald.
Yeah,
that's fine, that's fine. Maybe
there
my head will fall out the door,
are
we'll see.
there are a lot of people who are good meteorologists. They may not be the best on camera. Sometimes you just have to have it to be on camera. Bam. That is it.
As soon as we asked a question, I was like, well, I'm going to sit back. And
That is it. We didn't have to pull.
No.
We didn't have to. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, good communicator first. Just as good of a meteorologist is what I would say if you're going into this business. You have both. I've thought that before you're chasing videos. I don't know when I first discovered Gerald. Do you know?
Yeah, no.
I think you just popped up on
Yeah,
Twitter
you just kind of
one
popped up on
day,
Twitter, and I was like, "Who is this dude?"
and I love to what's the right word? How honest you are when it comes to your chasing experience. A, you don't hype it up, and then B, you'll be humble about like, hey, it didn't work out how I thought it was going to. When's the first time you chased? What do you remember that first chase? What that experience was like?
Yeah, a little. In fact, I guess I'll kind of back up a little bit and how I kind of got popular, if you will, on Twitter.
Yeah.
Although in the grand scheme of things, not really. But
I think you're probably more popular than we are. But I mean, whatever, that's fine.
well, and funnily enough, it was my 17th birthday, day of, and I was born in February, so it was middle of
Wait,
winter, February 6th.
February 3rd.
Okay. Well,
Aquarius.
maybe
Look
it's
at
a
that.
thing, yeah.
Look at that.
And
August 25th.
No one's. Yeah.
Well, I remember that day there was the chance of a little bit of snow, and generally in that part of the upstate, it's a very fine line. It could be 33 and very heavy wet snow or 35 and pouring rain. And the forecast, I think we had a winter weather advisory, and obviously it was my birthday, so I was like, well, I like the weather. It's going to snow, don't worry. That's just how this works. And it was just pouring rain all day. I went out with my family, and then finally we were out having, I guess, birthday dinner, and it switched to that snow. And it ended up being a lot bigger of a storm than a lot of people thought. I guess the forecast was probably dusting to an inch. And then next thing you know, I'm telling my dad, no, drive this way. Let's go this way. And let's, look at the snow. Let's drive up towards the mountains a little. And we ended up getting about 3 inches of snow. But I said, well, you know what? I do plenty of things kind of at school that are, I guess, in front of people. So let me pull out a camera. Let me talk a little. Because before that, I think like many people, I was just a fangirl on Twitter, following people. Anytime I'd get a like on a comment, I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So-and-so liked this. And then it just kind of blew up. Like I woke up the next morning, Reed Timmer quote tweeted it and said, look at this kid. And then meteorologists from all over the place were. So that was kind of a chase in the sense that I was out there filming it, even if it was more of my front yard and just my small town other than anything else. But actual chasing wise, they all kind of blur together, to be completely honest with you. I don't know if I could pick out the first one, definitely in high school. Yeah, they really just blur together. I remember the good ones, and then the not so good ones just, kind of just one big chase in my brain.
That's how hurricanes are for me right now. I know not for you because you've been here longer than me, but eventually, like, hurricanes just kind of blend together.
Yeah.
You do so much tropics, and so that makes sense with chasing.
Mm-hmm. So going into your junior year at UNC Charlotte, my alma mater.
Let's just pause there. Where is the statue of Jamie Arnold located on campus?
Right in the McHenry building. Right, you open the door.
Wait, McHenry?
Yeah, this is a good question for you. How do you pronounce it? Because this is a whole. Okay, good.
McHenry.
I've heard McInerney and so many other things. It's McHenry.
The Earth Sciences and at the time it was biology and atmospheric science all in the same building. McHenry. But there was always a battle on campus. Is it McHenry or is it McInerney?
Yeah.
Team McHenry. So when you and still on the fourth floor?
Fourth floor, yeah.
Wow. So let me show you how old I am and how long ago I was in school. When you got off the elevator on the fourth floor of McHenry, as soon as you got off the elevator, there was basically a bulletin board. And every day before class, I went up and hand drew the weather map of the day and hand wrote out the forecast for the day. There wasn't even the meteorology degree wasn't even a thing when I graduated. It was, I double majored in atmospheric science and geography. And here's my little claim to fame. The first one to graduate from the department to have a successful, I guess this is successful, that may be generous, television meteorology career. Little piece of history you're sitting by right now, right
So
here.
you're like a founding father of this.
Basically a founding father. And there should be somewhere, when you get off the elevator, you look to the right. Are there still glass cases with like statues and award? There's not.
Honestly, right before I got there, they said they remodeled the place and kind of moved a little bit of everything. So
I was there.
It's probably in a closet somewhere, I'm sure. But
It's going to go in the weather museum.
I was there like 4 years ago, and two of my little plaques were still there.
I remember you
with my
posting
name.
about
well,
that.
I'll talk to some people and get start getting some things.
Needs to be
in
front and
places.
center next to
Right,
the
I
golden
think so.
statue with the
Can
cosmos.
you still sneak up to the attic, to the rooftop?
I can't say I've tried personally. We'll get there, I'm sure. But
Be very careful. Be very careful. I did once. And got called into the dean's office.
Oh, no.
For going onto the roof to watch a storm come in.
well, we have these giant parking decks now, and that's like the place where most meteorology majors go.
Yeah.
You can even
Man,
see
things have
Uptown
changed
from
a
couple
lot.
of them, so.
Things have changed a lot. Let me tell you a funny story. I know we're supposed to be talking about you, but this is too good to pass up. So, McHenry, does it still share the building with biology?
So it's really all earth science now.
The whole thing, all
yeah,
four
it's
floors?
Earth science,
Wow.
environmental science, meteorology,
Wow.
some geology in there too.
We had the top floor, and that was it. Second and third floor were biology. Well, I used to frequently go up to the roof, and there was a greenhouse that you could go into and watch storms, or you could actually sort of illegally sneak onto the roof. One day I was up there, and there was a giant freezer, like the kind that most people keep in their like garage, like a freezer.
For extra
And I was
meter,
like, yeah, I'm like, oh, what's in this? I lift up the freezer. There is an animal carcass.
Oh, shit.
I think it was a lion. Oh, no. This is not a joke. This is not, like, this is real deal. I opened it up. Looked like a lion with its bones exposed, completely covered in maggots and roaches. Like you could hear it eating this lion carcass. I'm like, oh my God, shut it. Ran back downstairs, and I was talking to like a friend or something. This was when I was in grad school, and I had an office up on the 4th floor. Told a friend, whatever, didn't really think too much of it. 2 hours later, campus police knocked on my door, on my office door, and said, you never go into the attic again, and you never talk about what you saw. No joke. I think the biology department was doing some crazy stuff. This is no joke.
That's the problem, is I know that you're not joking.
This is no joke. The back end, those biology people, they're weird. This is why I can't get into life sciences. The back entrance to McHenry, like kind of there's like a back entrance instead of going through like the main doors. I used to go in and out that door. And one day, outside, there were crickets everywhere. Every one of those crickets, y'all think I'm making this stuff up. I'm not.
No, just
Every one of the crickets had a pink dot on it that had been placed there. It wasn't like a pink marking. It was like a pink, like somebody took a pink paintbrush or a pink marker and put it on the back of these crickets. Lord only knows what those crickets had been subjected to. That may have been the start of COVID. I don't know. The whole back entrance was full of crickets with pink dots.
what I'm laughing at is I feel like you always have the craziest
I do.
stories.
I do. And there's two that I can't even tell because
Well.
I'm too scared to right now. I'm scared, literally scared that they'll come after me. Anyway, I didn't mean to distract from making this about you, but
fine.
those are some of my
So we
best
call the
college.
gold standard
Yeah,
at,
those
UNC
are
Charlotte.
those are some of my best UNC Charlotte stories.
So junior year, what classes are we taking meteorology wise?
So this semester will be synoptic,
the best.
physical,
Love it.
and then unfortunately we get into some physics and calculus, more calculus than I already had to do.
So what calculus are you right now? Like what?
This will be 2. This will be Calc 2,
yeah.
Physics 1. So
And how many do you have to go through?
technically, I mean, it's really 4 calculuses, but
Oh,
the last
God.
one's called differential equations.
Oh
so,
God.
Yeah. I know, getting flashbacks.
Are you doing good?
Well, this is technically attempt 1.5 at Calc 2.
That's all right.
So, yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
not worried about it. But I'm very open. Like, there's a lot of things I'm good at. Math is not one of them. I will be the first to tell you. I'm terrible at it.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
So most of us. Yeah,
Same.
most of
I don't know if
us.
it's like a broadcast thing where just like we have to be bad at math or if we're just unlucky, but that's kind of what it feels like. I don't know if I've met anyone in broadcast that just loves the math.
I know a
Normally they
couple.
go towards research.
Yeah,
or-
there's a few. They're not really friends of mine.
They changed it right when I got in because everyone told us like, hey, just get a D and get the degree.
Yeah. D is for diploma.
Well, they changed it at WKU to where you have to have a C in all your prerequisite math and
Yeah.
science classes to pass the meteorology major. So
Get a
That's
Just
where we're at too.
get a
pass
good
and-
friend that's really good in calc.
the TI-84 calculator, which I'd put the cheat sheet on the back for all the formulas.
Oh, yeah.
And just
Some
Absolutely.
people
Okay,
plug
there
it
we
into
go.
like the calculator because you can put like saved formulas and stuff in there.
Yeah.
So people
Yeah.
put all of like the derivatives and things like that.
Yeah, they've changed a lot
wow.
now. Good luck.
Wow.
Physics was tough. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I always tell people, and Jamie could probably attest to this, you'll find a way to get it done, especially if you really want to be in the business.
You will.
Like, we had 36 people that started out, and I told you this right before the episode. We had 36 people that started out in our meteorology, my class. 4 graduated. Mm-hmm. Out of those 4, 3 are now, no, all 4. Yeah, all 4 are still in the business, but 36 to 4, that's the graduation ratio of meteorology.
And the bottom line is, it's great to know. It kind of helps with foundation, then you'll never use it again.
Yeah.
I can't even do it as like simple math anymore. Like you ask me to like simple division, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like I can on my calculator. I can't sit down and write on paper.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm not looking forward to when Brooks gets into school, is trying to help him with stuff. But yeah, anyways, you'll kill it. So let's talk more about the fun stuff, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's talk about what I have questions is your YouTube channel. First off, A, when did it start? And B, he is way more popular than we are.
I know.
So that's a great question. When did it start? So you had Mitch West on the show.
Love Mitch.
Yep,
Yeah,
Mitch
it was
is
probably
great.
one of my favorite episodes of the podcast, honestly.
Oh, we got a fan.
I know.
We got one.
Well, I was talking to him one day because we're pretty close, and I've actually had the privilege of meeting him in person as well. And I was like, Mitch, I see that you're doing the YouTube thing. It looks kind of fun, and I kind of want to do it because I think it's practice. It's great practice. I don't think it'll really go anywhere further than that in the long run. But, I want to do broadcasts. I think this is a great way to kind of jump on into it. So he gave me a couple pointers, just like him. Kind of just started with a microphone and a computer. That's all it really takes. And a subscription to Pivotal Weather also takes that, which luckily the school provides.
Nice.
So that is very helpful.
Bougie Charlotte.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, I would hope the tuition's high enough. I might as well provide it.
I love it.
But yeah, no, it just kind of started, and it was a slow start. Luckily, Mitch gave me a shout out on his channel, and I hit 1,000 subscribers pretty quick. And I think within 3 months, I hit the monetization eligibility. And then kind of a not so fun story is I applied for it, and then they got back to me about a month later and said, "Nope, not happening." I said, "Okay." And they didn't explain themselves. I asked Mitch, I was like, do you have any idea why this is? He said, no clue. So I applied every month for 6 months. And then there was one day in August of last year, I was kind of in a bad mood, to be honest. I was like, you know what, I'm going to apply right now. They're going to say yes. I don't even care. And then the next morning I get an email, congratulations, you've been accepted into the partner program or whatever they call it. And at that point I had like 1,500, maybe 2,000 subscribers. And then the semester started, and obviously that's a lot, a lot of school, a lot of work and other things. So I kind of didn't do all that much with it. And then winter storm season started, and I got back on it, and it blew up. I went from like 2,000 to about 8,000 subscribers within the span of 3 months maybe. So it's a lot of fun though. It can be tiring. It's a lot of work. One thing I'm excited about with broadcast after school and to hopefully be in a smaller market is I love forecasting for individual areas. I love the mesoscale a lot. Kind of the tough thing about YouTube that a lot of people don't realize is obviously you're talking about all these different places and climates, but you also have to forecast for all of that.
Yeah.
So that's a whole process in the morning to kind of wake up, look at the West Coast, East Coast, North, South, which can be tiring, but it's worth it. And it, definitely is paid enough to kind of help with some textbooks and things as well. So.
And I'll tell you this, go ahead and just keep doing that, because eventually when it comes to your reel in 2 years, you're graduating, right?
Yeah.
I was 5 year. That's why I ask. Yeah. So you'll be 4-year graduate, which is crazy. Include that on your reel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'll tell you right now, in 5 years, I don't know what this job's going to look like.
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing the OTT hits religiously now. There's going to be stuff like what you're doing in the business. There already is, but there's going to be more of that.
And if you can go into a station and already have a following,
bingo,
you're golden.
Yeah, they're going to say, we want Gerald and we want.
Also, can we hire you to maybe manage the RU Cirrus? Let him kind of take over, because we've got 3 subscribers, I think maybe.
I don't know how many subscribers we have, but ours is paired with, which helps with the news account.
Yeah.
So they are the ones who kind
That
of
bumps us to 6 subscribers.
You're also lucky to have multiple platforms like you do the Spotify thing and the
that's
Apple
true.
and all
That's
that, so that helps.
Also, how do you do your little thumbnail thing? Because I feel like that works out.
What is that?
So if you go to his account,
Yeah.
like there's these cool graphics that say like snow potential or snowstorm, and it's like, dang, click, like it's. If we could make a graphic other than just like, hey, here we are, maybe we'll get more. I don't know.
All right.
Like was that something that Mitch told you? Was that something you're like, hey, I'm going to try this
So,
out, like severe outbreak or whatever?
That is one of the things that me and Mitch kind of differ on actually a little bit. And you guys talked about this, and this is a great thing about Mitch. He is very conservative in the way he runs his channel. And unfortunately, just the way YouTube works, there's a lot of clickbait, and that's just kind of the way that things are right now.
Yeah.
Which I know unfortunately hurts a lot of meteorologists in the field, because they'll see these things on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook that say, "Oh, massive storm coming! Prepare now. It's the end of times." And then in reality, it's like 2 inches of snow is on the way or something. So I kind of try to walk a fine line of realistic, but also like, oh, that looks exciting and appealing. So honestly, normally what I do is just take a picture of a weather map and then throw some words on there and maybe some fancy little pictures. And the bright colors normally help. And the bold words. So.
Just big, bold.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
it's
like
nice.
when we talk about hurricane season, putting something like that on
I
there.
like that.
I don't know.
Wow.
I also like, just out of a graphic standpoint, the letters match up, the words match up. Yeah, kudos to you for doing that.
Let's talk about your storm chasing, because at least from my end, and I think from our end, your little tornado chase in our neck of the woods back in May,
middle of May.
just kind of propelled you to a whole different level. Our local folks here may remember we had a bunch of rain that morning. We had a level 1 risk for maybe a couple of storms that afternoon. Didn't look very impressive. And then we ended up having 7 tornadoes that day. And you were in place, ready for them, and captured several. Like, beautiful storm chase. Your pictures, did you get those loaded, or did you do any production for this?
No,
or
we're gonna
post-production?
do post-production.
Got it.
Yeah.
Tell us about that day, because that was insane. For local folks, this was the day that tornado, I think it was an EF1 rated, that hit Marion. May 14th, hit Marion. We had another one up near Dillon and Robeson County and across the border in North Carolina. Like, for a day that really didn't look that impressive, it ended up impressive, and you were there in the middle of it. What?
So funny story, actually. The night before, one of my buddies, who's also a meteorology major, he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, are you?" Actually, let me back up a little bit more. Sorry, because this was an interesting week, because this was also within 5 days of that Aurora show that we had. So I saw that on the Friday night. Saw that on Blue Ridge Parkway, and then in some of the nicer areas of South Carolina.
Pick and go see it too.
And honestly, my expectations were so blown away by that. I remember tweeting that night. I was like, "Man, I'm only 20 and I just saw this. I don't know how I'm going to top this." And then, of course, 4 days later, I had this tornado outbreak that I was one of 3 people that saw. So I got a job that week. I'm a server. Something's got to pay for the textbooks after all. And the hiring manager was like, "Hey, can you train on Tuesday?" And I knew that there was a small chance of storms. This was a couple days in advance. And I was like, "I've got a family event I have to go to. Sorry, I can't on Tuesday. I'll be there Wednesday, though." So then the night before, it was Monday night, my friend messaged me. He's like, "Hey, you chasing tomorrow?" I was like, let me check the models real quick. And I was like, it doesn't really look great. It looks like kind of a shield of rain, and just the thermodynamic profile was terrible. And I was like, probably not. And then I randomly woke up early the next morning, and I was weirdly energized. I was like, let me check one more time. And it looked like maybe the rain was moving out a little quicker in the morning. So I thought, okay, maybe we can destabilize the atmosphere here. So I was like, sure, why not? I'll get in the car and drive 3 hours to the PD and into Myrtle Beach. And I did. And there was a really nice storm, or really kind of a segment of storms in Columbia that was moving towards the area, and it looked good. And then I got to it probably, I would say, 30 minutes before the Marion tornado, and it was that storm. And it was looking great. And then on radar and in person, it fell apart. Like, this was a pretty deep storm. Like, it was, pretty good up into the atmosphere. And it turned into a shower. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I drove all the way here. It looked great. And then it just fell apart in front of me. And I was like, well, let me follow it a little bit. And then I started looking at it. I was like, wow, that's like a wall cloud right there. That's getting pretty low. That's spinning, which is weird because I'm looking at radar. There's nothing here. The Storm Prediction Center, the experts have a marginal risk. And then next thing I know, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I think this is like actually tornadoing right now in front of me. And I put the drone up, and even at the time, I didn't really believe it was happening because of the threat level and how bad it looked on radar. But then it hit me. I was like, no, this is literally a tornado right here. And this was as it was touching down in Marion and moving across kind of some open fields there towards Mullins. And so just pulled the drone out, took the video. Then I pulled my phone out, got a little ground footage, and after that, I was like, all right, we're done. This is awesome. And then, I kid you not, I was standing in a Piggly Wiggly parking lot, which we don't have in Charlotte or the
Good old
upstate.
Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah,
Oh, that is
and,
classic South Carolina right there.
Right, and I'm just like freaking out. And you're like, wow, I can't believe this. And I look up, and there's another wall cloud and another little super shower, as we call them, developing. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't have time to go look for damage. Like, another one is about to happen. And then next thing you know, that new cell produced a little bit. That one wasn't ever confirmed, but it was over an open field, so the National Weather Service can only do so much there. But I got video of that producing, and then I think it kind of produced a couple times. And next thing you know, the sun was down. I was like, wow, that just happened. So just
I
kind
don't
of divine
remember.
intervention.
I don't remember anything other than because that was right after the PGA event for us.
Mm-hmm.
I took some days off. We were like rotating time, and I woke up to just seeing you go off. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, "Wait, Gerald called a tornado last night?
You're like,
Wait,
wait,
Gerald called it- where-
in Marion?
downtown Marion
Yeah.
has damage."
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like you were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Because if it's 10 minutes later,
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how to explain it. I think a lot of times other storm chasers might get this feeling too, but you can kind of tell before a chase how it's going to go. Like you kind of just get a feeling.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the second I started my car that morning, I kind of knew I was going to see a tornado. Like in my soul, I know like the weather apps didn't, or the weather maps didn't look good. The forecast was iffy, but I just kind of knew. I was like, this is going to happen today. And then sure enough, it did. So.
You filled in that morning. I remember texting you vividly and said, "What happened?"
Yeah. Yeah, it was wild. And what was also crazy about that day is, like you mentioned, they looked okay initially, and then it just looked like a couple of showers. But I think after the Weather Service started seeing a couple of your pictures, they finally started issuing warnings, because there was no warning for the Marion tornado. There was no warning for the ones near Mullins and Nichols until they, I think, were like, okay, these are actually producing something. And they finally, I think we got one tornado warning that day for Dillon County or maybe Robeson County. As those little showers, as they were kind of heading out. But yeah, that was a wild day, and that's, man.
This is where the importance of people like you and other storm chasers come in, because we can't be everywhere. And radar didn't even look that great.
No. And you were calling them super showers, because not your typical thunderstorm that produces a tornado where there's lightning and a hook echo. There was, if you squinted hard, you could maybe see a little rotation with it, but overall, if you were to look at it on radar, it's no big deal.
Yeah, from a photography side, honestly, being a super shower really helped out, because we didn't have these massive like rain shafts, and to my knowledge, like the drone video I got is probably some of the only drone footage of tornadoes in South Carolina at all, because there's only so many people here with drones that are trying to film tornadoes. And honestly, whenever it happened, I posted the videos like there was a tornado, and I haven't told anybody this, but I almost deleted it right after, because I was like, am I actually seeing a tornado right now? Because this was my first one that was like visible, and I was like, maybe it's Scud, and you always hear that all the time, like, oh no, it's Scud, it's not a tornado. But I left it up, and then as terrible as it sounds, there was kind of like a sigh of relief when people were like, oh yeah, no, like some trees got taken down a couple miles back. I'm like, okay, so I'm not crazy. That was definitely, what was happening.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Other chases, other tornadoes. You said that was the first one you visibly seen. What was some of the other ones that you've been on?
So I think it was Tropical Storm Fred, I want to say, a couple years back that moved through the upstate. I might have the name wrong. But we had another mini tornado outbreak in the upstate of South Carolina. I was in high school this time. So as you can imagine, my mom was very excited when I told her I was going to try to find tornadoes. But we had a tornado in Fountain Inn that I was there for, but it was rain wrapped and all that. So, I kind of counted it. But yeah, I've also done some snow chasing, which again, my mom was very excited whenever I told her I'm going to drive up to the Blue Ridge Parkway and, drive in the snow. So one thing I've yet to do is a hurricane. And I don't want to jinx it, but this year so far is looking like that might be the one. So.
Come on down.
Yeah,
We'll
definitely plan on you being down here for if we get something, and you're going to be sending us a lot of good pictures, and we're going to be putting them on the air.
Yeah. You go first.
Yeah, what does Gerald's future look like?
It's like we're the same person.
Like
what are we thinking?
Yeah, you graduate. You do want to go into broadcast. Yeah. Any particular area of the country you want to work in?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think growing up, I always kind of thought it'd be cool to stay home. But I also think the older I get, the more I think maybe it'd be kind of cool to branch out. So I don't really have like a specific market in my brain right now that is like the dream. I'm just kind of, excited to see what pops up and what opportunities are there and, see where that takes me.
My piece of advice, too, and Jamie could probably elaborate more on this, even, this is 11 years. I feel old.
You are.
Let the journey take you, and I think you'll quickly realize you'll find a spot you like. I used to think like, oh yeah, top 50 market, top 40, top 30, that's the goal. I have no desire anymore.
Right.
Like obviously if there's like a dream job that comes up, and I've always told Jamie this, like, maybe I'll entertain it, but
Hell you will.
Find and see.
Hell you will.
And then he'll counter it, and I'll be here for you. But find somewhere where you can be Gerald and you can have fun with, hey, I'm going to really dive in and find someone that will let you do that.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, your first job, you might be like tied up. Like, okay, Gerald do this, Gerald do that, Gerald. But eventually you'll find either management or a chief or somebody who will say, hey, you're really good at this. Let's focus on this.
Let
That's
you
my
shine.
piece of advice.
Yeah.
Even when you go to interview, ask and figure out what your role is going to be and just you'll know quickly. Hey, am I going to have some freedom here or am I not? And that's not a knock on anyone. I mean, we've all been in markets where I was like the lowest of the lowest on the totem pole. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm doing my time here and I'm
out.
skedaddling. So
But dude, you got it made.
you do. You'll be
You're
set.
set. You're set.
You'll be set. And home's great if you want to do home, but you can always come back to home. That's what I tell people.
Right,
Home will always,
Yeah.
the home market will always bring back a local if there's an opening.
Yep,
So keep that
they
in
will.
mind too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited for you. I think you're going to kill it. Who knows? What is it, 2 years?
2 years?
Yeah, 2 years to go, so
Huh.
halfway there.
Maybe we
Your
had
contract's
a 6.
up in 2 years?
Yeah, I think so. 2.5. Well, there we go.
Interesting. Interesting.
New podcast.
How do you feel
host.
about getting up at 2:30 in the morning?
Well, it's funny because a lot of people say they don't like it, but if there's like one silver lining, at least there's no traffic. That is nice. I
Yeah,
hate traffic.
right.
Nothing I hate more. So
Yeah.
there's
Well,
that.
you're from Charlotte, too. You'll come here and be like, what traffic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I grew up without traffic, and then I moved to Charlotte. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
There's something else I was going to ask, but I think it's in here as my question.
All right.
We always say guests answer questions with us. You ready for this?
Let's
Yeah,
see-
we're
let's
actually
see
going to
what
make
happens.
you answer because you're in college and you're probably smarter than we are. So I'll go first.
Please explain that. No, just throw an equation out.
Yeah. All right, see, easy peasy. What's your favorite type of weather to forecast?
This is funny because I love forecasting severe weather, specifically tornadoes. I hate talking about it. Like on the YouTube, it bores me to death to talk about CAPE and SRH values and all these other things. So overall, though, I'd say probably snow. But I almost kind of forget how that feels. Last time I saw snow was in high school. That's how long it's been. So
Yeah.
Feels like that's how long it's been for me since I was in high school. Not quite, but yeah.
Serious snow, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
we need it.
Favorite to forecast for me, severe weather. Favorite to cover, hurricane. Hurricane forecasting is kind
I
of,
go with the season.
yeah.
It literally depends. Like during the winter, I'm like, oh, this is the best. Oh, I love forecasting for winter weather. And then come spring, like, oh man, I love forecasting for storms. And then now I'm like, oh man, I love forecasting hurricanes. It just depends.
fair.
Yeah.
Easy ball. All right, let's see. Oh, you don't know the answer to this. Mark, we'll get to your question here in a second. It's about sponsorships. Gerald, any big summer plans? And this could be about the channel, about the chase.
yeah, good
What do you got
question.
Other than making it big by appearing on Are You Serious?
Right. Well, that's obviously the big one. So
Right,
check
right.
that one off.
Yeah, okay.
Make sure you get all your thousands of subscribers to watch too.
Yeah.
I'll tell him. Yeah, no, I'll post
Yeah,
it.
please
Don't worry.
do. Like
Yeah.
we
I'll promote you.
like we could give. We're begging him to promote. Like, give us a couple of likes or something.
Big summer plans. Good question. I think really just reset because
Yeah.
the spring semester was draining. I'm, like I said, not very good at math, and it was math semester is what the spring was. So just, kind of, get my morale back up, if you will, save up some money, I guess, work hard. And yeah, I'm just kind of looking forward to school to start again, kind of getting a synoptic. I'm also a big sporting fan, college sports, so that'll be fun.
Who's your sport other than Charlotte?
That's the one in college.
But before Charlotte.
See, the
came.
thing is, I really didn't care about college sports until I got to college.
Really?
Yeah, which I grew up in Pickens County, so you'd think I'd be like this huge Clemson fan. Not really, no. Yeah, which a lot of people are the opposite. Like at school, many people that go to Charlotte are not Charlotte fans because they grew up ECU fans or State fans or Chapel Hill fans. I'm the opposite. I didn't care beforehand, and now I do. So
yeah, it's still such a young program there too.
Yeah,
all of them.
In a big summer place. I already know the answer to this.
Nap. Try not to die before hurricane season. Stay inside.
We try to rest up during summer because we always know what's to come in the fall.
Try not to get fired.
This is what I was going to get.
Should we have him finally do it?
Yes, let's see.
This is perfect. All right, so we've been putting this question back in the box. If you've watched a while, you may know this. Because we think it's too hard to explain on a podcast, but we have to do this for Kevin Black. Gerald, can you explain what a deformation band is and how it works?
Okay. Are we talking in the snow terms?
Yeah, we're talking in terms of snow.
Good. Hang on.
Go for it.
Pass the first part.
Kevin, we said we're gonna wait. We got the perfect guy for you. I love this.
So I'm not going to get too deep into what causes it as much as the effect of it.
Oh no, we need a little bit about
I don't know if I can do that for you.
How a deformation band forms.
Well, first of all, what it is, it's just basically kind of. It's almost like if you think of a tropical storm, how you have squalls within that, where it kind of goes from nothing to like heavy rain and strong wind. It's like that, but snow, kind of, where it just kind of sets up this band, it's in the name, very heavy snow, generally stronger winds, and it just kind of dumps over an area. Synoptically, how it forms is a whole nother question that I will throw back to you two.
And that's how you fake it till you make it on television.
Back to you in the studio, yeah.
That is how you do it. That's how we know that you have a great career ahead.
Because you can finagle your way around.
We're literally gonna have to do an entire episode on the deformation band just for Kevin.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ingredients. A lot. Listen, if you ever get underneath one of these, and I'm sure you could attest, heaven. If you're a snow lover.
It's heaven if you're a snow lover. We don't get them around here. I've been here 16 years, and I can count 3 times that a deformation band has impacted this area. 2 of them were just rain, which was like 38 in rain and gusting to 40 miles per hour. 1 deformation band did end up being snow here, but it wasn't big snow. It was kind of snowed all day, but never really stuck kind of thing. Yeah.
To show you, we can say
let's just kind of do it like really simple because we have to do this for Kevin.
Okay.
You basically, on the backside of an intense area of low pressure, you have, in the upper atmosphere, you have an area basically of diverging winds. And it almost creates like a vacuum in the atmosphere. With winds are diverging, something has to come in and fill its place, so you get almost a vacuum. You get an area of rising air. In the upper levels, you have cold air coming in. Down at the low levels, really intense cold air advection, as we call it, and you'll set up a band of really impressive snowfall and snowfall rates, and a lot of times you can get thunder snow in a deformation band. So there you go, Kevin. I hope we finally did it.
And typically what happens too is we always say it's like warm air rising. In the winter, it's cold air, but it's still warm. It's warmer than what's at the surface.
Yeah.
The cold air is crashing in, and what will happen, and if you go back on radar estimates, you could see this, or even just radar loops, you'll typically set up and you can actually see where that air is rising.
Yeah.
And it gets stretched.
Yes.
And pulled, and that's where the term the band comes from. The only one I can remember was back when I was in 7th or 8th grade. There was one north of Louisville that set up on an intense low pressure, 16 inches of snow. You go 5 miles south, 4.
Yeah.
From pooling of that intense updraft on the backside of a low pressure. Have you ever heard thunder snow?
I have.
I have it once.
I think I've told the story on the podcast. My biggest forecast bust ever was a deformation band that formed and set up. I had a forecast for flurries on the 6 o'clock news. This was at my station near East Carolina University before I came here. My forecast on the air on a Sunday evening was for flurries. That was at 6 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, I said maybe an inch because it was snowing. The radar was looking kind of impressive. We had 9 inches on the ground by Monday morning at daybreak, and it thundered and lightning and blew snow all night long in about a 15-mile wide band. That was my biggest bust ever.
I think it's funny that generally the public seem to get more mad whenever you mess up a snow forecast than like a tornado forecast. Like whenever there weren't that many tornadoes forecasted a month ago, there were like 3 people like, oh, that wasn't in the forecast. Okay, let's move on. And then snow, it could be off by a couple inches. Like, I can't believe you said my house was going to get.
Yeah. Although there's plenty of jerk holes out there that
Anything.
if they don't get hit by a tornado, they seem to be ticked off about that. We've dealt with that plenty in the past. That's another episode.
Yeah, deformation ban for sure. Is there any more in here? I saved this for Mark. We'll get back to Gerald here in 2 seconds. How did WNBF News pick up both the PGA event and CCMF as the official media partner? More things to come? Question mark.
Gotta be careful about this one.
Be
I
nice.
could actually get myself in trouble. You got to spend a little money to make a little
lot of
money.
money, yeah.
TV is a money making business. You know. This side of the building, the studio broadcast side, we kind of don't really have a lot to do with the other side of the building as far as the money making side, but you know, both really huge events for this area.
Both huge gets for us.
Big scores for us, and I think we absolutely blew both of them out of the park. I may be a little biased, but getting sponsorships like that, and it's a great way to continue to grow, which we are as a kind of a young station. It's a great way to continue to grow and get bigger and make more money
And do more
and
events.
get more eyes and do more events.
Yeah.
If there's one thing this station knows how to do, it's a big event.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a big event. That's
Team
our
coverage.
Yeah, team coverage, big stuff. That's kind of our wheelhouse around here.
And then specialty stuff like this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Well, this is 2 guys and a couple of mics and cheap tablecloth from Walmart. So it's, you know, maybe after these 2 big sponsorships, we can order a couple of mugs to give to a guest.
We
Yeah.
just said we were going to do a shop.
Talk amongst yourselves for just a second.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. No, seriously, I'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
Seriously, I'll be right back.
This was not planned.
It wasn't. I'll be back.
Okay. Gerald, question.
Yeah.
For the first time ever, we've never had a guest. What's coming up for you? Like, not summer, not school. What's your goal with you got 2 years before you get into the job search. Honestly, it'll probably be a year because at this point they're hiring out of college. What's next? What do you want to do with your YouTube channel? What do you want to do with storm chasing?
Yeah, so great question. Now, luckily, I did just become the president of our university storm club, so that's going to entail a lot of planning and things. In fact, I'm going to try to force Jamie to come up to Charlotte and speak to us. He doesn't know that
I would
yet.
love that.
So that'll be fun. And with the YouTube thing, this is something that is kind of tough for me to think about long term because now that I'm at a point where it's, it makes some money, especially during the right times of the year. It's kind of something I want to do on top of this. And you were talking about finding a station that, lets you kind of be who you are. I'd love to work in a market where I can do that market and then also keep the YouTube thing on the side for more of a national thing every now and then whenever I want to do that. So that's the long-term goal, but honestly, just Jamie talks a lot about immersing yourself in it, and I'm just going to try to do that over the next 2 years before before this happens. And that's something also with the storm chasing that I kind of remind myself a lot of the times, like, man, I wish I could just graduate and be done. And then I'm like, well,
don't wish it away
when
too
when that happens, I'm not going to be out here finding tornadoes in the middle of nowhere because I'm going to be
these are the best couple years of your life.
So just kind of enjoy the processes.
And I'll
sound like two grumpy old men over here.
Well, we are. I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. You find those plaques that used to be right as you get off the elevator on the 4th floor of McHenry, and I will be there.
Okay.
But I'll need to see those plaques.
And you do some search and rescue operations.
That's fine. That's fine. Maybe even take a little trip up to the roof for old time's sakes. That would be amazing.
Just don't look in the
like
freezer.
literally, you say when, and I will be there.
Okay.
That would be incredible. I would love to go back and speak.
That'd be fun too for some live shows.
Those are
we could work.
Literally the best years of my life. I got my master's degree there too, so I spent 6.5 years there on that 4th floor.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, no,
I couldn't do it. I thought about research until I actually did research, and I said,
So whenever you did like the masters,
look at him with the questions.
Let me take over real quick.
Podcast is this?
So
Go ahead.
whenever you did that, did you have like a concentration that you did with that, or like what was your research about?
I did. Duke Power funded my research. I was sort of course, I've always loved severe weather. And then the opportunity came up for some funding to pay for my research, which came from Duke Power because they needed some research done. And they said, here's the money and here's what you got to do. So my master's thesis was, and it should still be in the library on campus,
Along with his plaques.
an empirical analysis of extreme cloud-to-ground lightning events associated with severe storms in the Carolina Piedmont.
Oh, he's got that memorized.
Yes, I do, because I spent 6 months.
I think that should be the next podcast.
I
Just
spent
presenting your master's
6 months
thesis.
of my life
Could you imagine?
writing that thesis. Yeah.
That's a task and a half, isn't
Yeah,
it?
still it should, like I said, should still be in the library. I've got a couple of copies at home on my bookshelf if anybody wants one, an autographed copy of an empirical analysis. No, it was cool. I basically just broke down. They wanted to know which lightning days produce the most power outages. So I looked at their power outages, compared that to severe storm days, sort of came up with a baseline sort of general weather pattern for those days, and it was positive strikes, which kind of makes sense, that ended up producing the most power outages for Duke Energy. And so sort of figuring out, okay, what does the general atmosphere look like on days that produce numerous positive strikes?
And now you're in broadcast. Who would have thought?
What a waste. What a waste.
We're going to do something different here to end it.
Yeah. Wait, I disappeared for a
Oh,
second.
sorry.
Because I had to go steal an Are You Serious mug off our boss's desk.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well,
Yeah. It's been sitting there. And so we can't have him drive all the way from Charlotte. So
Aw.
that's about all we can do for you. But
Thank you. I appreciate it. No, it's going to go, you know what? For my YouTube videos, I'll put it on my desk. And I'll
oh my
drink out of it for all
goodness.
the YouTube videos.
Oh my goodness.
I'll have to even make sure I'm thirsty beforehand so I can just
very
in the middle.
subtle product
Yeah.
It's
placement.
very slow. Oh, by the way, I was on this podcast.
Yeah.
Good coffee.
Let's have some fun with this because these are my favorite episodes when we get to bring people in or
Same.
bring people on because we get to hear your story, your goal, up and coming. And plus we get to learn more about different areas. I'm going to challenge you because this is what we like to do on Are You Serious? 3 people you would like to see on Are You Serious in the future
3 people that'd be
that
good to
we
see.
could potentially reach out to, that you
Right.
could challenge to come on if you know them. I think this is how we start doing our guests, and we just
I like
keep
this. Yeah.
3 people you'd like to see come on the podcast.
Well, I think the big one everyone has probably already said is Reed Timmer. That's a big one. That's a
Love
tough
Reed
one
Timmer.
to,
It would be a tough one.
Tough to
Although
nail down.
he's,
tough.
I mean,
Dude's
technically
moving.
he lives in South Carolina.
He does.
and
He's
travels
from the
west,
upstate.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll
You're gonna shoot
doable.
doable.
I think it might be doable.
Yeah,
Okay.
especially if you find like kind of a lull in the weather.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's
Also, if there's a podcast for him to come on and he's been in Twitter lately, like not in bad in some ways.
depends on the day.
He ticked
You
off
know,
a lot of
this
people.
would
in
be the
this.
podcast for him.
Yeah.
Get this man riled up too, and I
that'd be
won't have to
fun.
do anything.
Right. Basically, if you're unfamiliar, Reed a couple weeks ago said
We
that
talked some.
basically that you need to focus on storm chasers for your tornado information and better than broadcast meteorology or meteorologists. I'm very broadly
Very broad,
paraphrasing.
yeah.
But yeah, he kind of
TV stations need to focus on the storm chasers more than showing radar 24/7. Kind of is
Yeah. Well,
the messaging, which
that's another podcast.
Yeah, I
All right,
like it.
next person.
Oh gosh, you really got me on the spot here.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Now, I don't know if you guys have brought any like meteorology professors in, but that'd be kind of cool if you
Okay.
could find some from, there's a couple schools nearby that do meteorology, including
Okay.
Charlotte, obviously. That'd be kind of cool to get that side of things. One more.
Yeah, we need a name.
You need a specific name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know if
it
I
can
could,
be
if
it
I
could
could
be
do that.
anyone.
Somebody I like a lot that it kind of does the storm chasing thing
Mm-hmm.
as well as broadcast. Matthew Capucci, I think you know him.
Yep, I met Capucci
Yeah.
in Bay St. Louis
Josh,
for
yeah.
Josh
And
Morgan's.
he does a little bit of everything too.
Capucci,
Wanna
yeah.
Bring him on.
Yeah.
I think that's doable.
I think we could do Capucci.
Yeah. I think we could
He's
do
got a
both
pretty good
Reed
following.
and Matthew.
We've got Span after you.
I know I saw that or heard
Yeah.
that. That is very exciting.
Yeah.
Or we might.
Luckily,
actually
he won't have
produce
much
it.
to top. So
Yeah. All right.
I think we could do those for sure. Also, we have to do some studying for Span. I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'll be nervous for Span.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
So, well, Gerald, thank you so much, man.
yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for having me.
Wanna add?
Appreciate it.
I don't think so. It still just brightens my heart to see that people like you make me think, you know what, the world's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We're going to be all right.
That was the title of your book. It's going to be okay.
Until I
right?
changed it to Cosmos and Cumulus Clouds.
Yeah, I like that better.
Yeah.
Well, Gerald, where can people find you before we go?
So
We've been talking about this, and we never plugged you.
Right.
So.
There's a ton of places: Twitter, YouTube. I have a link tree and all of my different social media accounts that kind of connects them. So just
learn what a
search
link
up my
tree was.
name anywhere. You can just even search it on Google. I think things about me pop
And
up.
if you're a Twitter guy, fantastic Twitter follow. Just fun and engaging and educational, and occasionally runs into a tornado in Marion.
Never know.
Well, welcome to Myrtle Beach. I know you've been here before, but we'll show you around and have some fun with it. This has been episode 52.
Yep, 53 coming up with Span. Like, rate, subscribe, share,
Comment.
I don't know.
Ask questions.
Whatever you're
We're
supposed
out.
to do. And if you're a fan of Gerald, like us too, give us a shout out.
Hopefully you'll show us a little bit of love.
Yeah.
I'll tell them to comment if they come to my channel. I'll say, hey,
Love
so
it.
you came from
We'll send you a penny, That's
right.
probably all we have.
Yeah.
That does it, y'all. We'll see you.
Appreciate it.